Hello guys, and welcome to this second part of the SQL full course for beginners. If you haven't already watched the first part, you can click on the link above or you can find the link in the description. So in this video, we are going to continue with some DDL commands, which stands for Data Definition Language, and we are going to insert, delete, and update some rows in our tables. But before we proceed with that, we have first to delete some of our databases. Okay, so we write drop database db1. Okay, we don't need this in this tutorial. Okay, and we do the same thing for the db2. We can also delete the db test. Okay, so like that we have only what we need. Okay, so we have the students info with the three tables. What we are going to do is that we are going to insert data into our students table, okay, which has four columns. We have the student ID, first name, last name, and date of birth, and we are going to do that in three different ways. So we can add single rows without column names, okay, as we are going to do. So we write insert into, and we write the table name, so students. We select our values. So here we didn't add the column names. We write values, and all the values that we are going to write between the parentheses have to be in the same order which is defined for the columns. So we have student ID, first name, last name, and date of birth. For student ID, we write 1. First name, we write, for example, Jack. And for the last name, we can write Lee, for example. Okay. The fourth field is the date. And as we have said, for the date, it has the year. Okay. Then we have the month, and then we have the day. Okay, so we have written our example in here, and the query needs to end with a semicolon. Okay, so we execute that. As we have said, in order to select or to view the data inside the table, we write select asterisk, which means all, new line, from, and we write the table, which is students. Okay, we execute that and we see our output. So we have added the student name, student ID, which is 1, first name, which is Jack, last name, which is Lee, and date of birth, which is an example. Okay, so we can add also values or rows into our table using the names of the columns. So we write insert into, so our table, which is students, and we can add the names of the columns. So we have student ID, first name, okay, last name, and we do have the date of birth. Okay, new line, and we add values. Okay, values, for example, we add the ID, it is 2, the first name, for example, it is John, right? The last name we can add, for example, LA, and date of birth, for example, we can add date. Okay, so if you execute that and we select, okay, so we have an error which can be student ID without the S. And if we execute that one more time, so insert into our table the given values and select all from students, so we have our new row. Okay, now we can add multiple values using the same thing. So multiple values using the column names in our table or without the column names. So to do that, we can write insert into, so we can add students. So for the values, I have directly some rows that I have written before. So I add directly these rows, okay, to save time. And if we execute that, so same thing, we select all from students, and here we have our table. So we have the student IDs, we have the first name, the last name, and the date of birth. Okay, as you can see here, it is recommended to use the dash for the date since it is used in the syntax, in the defined syntax of SQL. But if we write directly the slash, it will be converted to a dash. Okay, so it is preferred to write your dates in this format. Now, if we want to delete a row from our table, we can use the following syntax. So we have delete from, we write our table, students, and we select where, so this is the condition, where student ID, for example, student ID equals to 1. Okay, and if we execute that, so if we copy paste this one, and if we execute that, we have the first row, it is deleted. Okay, so we write delete from students where student ID is equal to 1. Now, if you get an error or this statement or this query cannot be executed, you can go to edit and go to preferences. You go to SQL editor and you remove the check from the save updates. Okay, rejects updates and deletes with no restrictions. Okay, so if it is checked, you can uncheck that and it will be okay for you to apply the updates and delete rows from your tables. And you click OK, of course, right? We can also delete another row, for example, delete from, so we write students and where, for example, date of birth equals to, okay, and if we execute that, select all from students. Okay, so like that we use the delete statement from students and you write here your condition. So as you can conclude here, select is used to query or to retrieve data from a table. So using this syntax, select, this is where you write your columns, and from your table. The same thing for the where. So where is used to put a condition in order to execute a given statement. For example, you write delete. So we want to delete a row from the students table where the date of birth is equal to this date. Okay, so now if you want, for example, to update a row or a given value in some columns, so we write the following. We write update. You write the name of the table, so students, and you set, for example, we change the last name of, for example, we change LA to, for example, another value. So write last name equals to, for example, tick. Okay, where, so we add the condition, student ID equals to 2, right? Student ID equals 2, semicolon. And if we execute that, okay, so we select all from the students and we see the last name has changed where the student ID equals to 2. We can do the same thing. Okay, we can update 2 different columns at the same time. Okay, in a given row, right? Same thing, update students, set, for example, first name equals to, for example, Chris, and also we change the date of birth to another date equals to, for example, 1998, for example, 11 and 1, where student ID equals to 5, equals to 5. If we execute that and we select all from students, so we get the first name and the date of birth with the new values. Okay, so this is using the update if you want to change a value in a given row. So we can also create or duplicate a table. So write create table, call it new students as, okay, so select all from students. Okay, now if we execute that and refresh our databases, so we have new students table. Okay, and if we select all from new students, select all from new students, we get exactly the same values. Okay, new students, we get the same table. All right, and if we copy and paste that, okay, so we have the same values. Okay, now if we want to drop and delete completely a table, we use the drop command. Okay, drop table new students, and if we execute that, the new students will be dropped, so it will be completely deleted. Right, now if we want to only delete the data within a table and leave the table as it is with the columns and the data types, the constraint, etc., we can use what we call truncate. Okay, so now we are going to recreate the new table. So create table new students as select all from students. And if we refresh that, so we have new students table. Now, if we want to delete only the data inside the new students table without deleting the table completely, we can use the truncate command. So we write truncate table, and we select the name of the table, so new students. Okay, and if we execute that, so we select all from new students, you will see only the names of the columns, but we don't have all the data. So the difference between truncate and drop is that drop will delete completely the table and the data in it, but the truncate will only delete data inside the table, but it will not delete the table completely. So we have the names of the columns and the data types are left. Okay, so now for example, there is another command that we can use when working with tables, which is called view. So view is a command that we use in order to select some columns and to create a sort of a new table that we can call and display only the selected columns. And to give you an example, we are going to use the database, so Scikila database that is given. So use Scikila, right? We execute that. And for example, we select all from actor table, right? To see what do we have. So we have actor ID, first name, last name, and last update. For example, if we want to create view, so we call create view. So we give it a name, for example, let's say Davis, right? So we will select or we create another table with all the names that have a last name Davis as, so we select the columns. So we select first name and last update. Okay, so from the actor table, where, as we have said, last name will equal to Davis, right? Semicolon. So we create our view, and if we go to here, so we have our views. We refresh, so we get Davis view. Okay, and if we select all from Davis, right, we get our view, right? So here we have created a view which is called Davis, and it will select for us first name, last name, which will be displayed as new table where the last name is Davis. Okay, to drop a view we use the same syntax, right? Drop view, and we write the name of the view, so Davis. If we execute that, so we see that Davis view does not exist anymore. Okay, so that's it for the second part of the SQL course for beginners. Thanks for watching and see you in the third part.